Hello guys, and welcome to or back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give a tour of our homeschool maths area and show you guys what my 5-year-old son is currently learning from our Montessori Maths curriculum. I hope you enjoyed this video and you find it inspiring too. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up to support us, and as well subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alright, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Alright guys, this is our maths corner that holds the materials and resources that my 5-year-old son is currently using to learn some concepts in mathematics. I'm going to step back a little so that you can appreciate it from this angle. And as time goes on guys, I'm going to bring you a tour of those other spaces, so don't worry about it. We are currently starting with our maths and sensorial corner. There is no rhyme or reason why this is the area we're starting with. We're just starting here, okay? Okay, let me take you guys up close and personal so you can see the activities and the resources proper. I'm going to tell you the names of these resources and as well the concepts in mathematics that they're helping my son to understand. So at the top of this shelf right here, we're looking at the Montessori tables and charts, and these tables and charts are for all of the maths operation. Just to say, as this video goes, as we go further with this video, you're going to hear me use the term maths operations a lot. So math operations are fundamental mathematical processes that are used to perform calculations and manipulate numbers. What I have just said is basically the 4 operations that we generally play around with in mathematics, which are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I've also got a homemade box here. I got this box from Amazon. And then I also got like fake Jenga from Amazon, which I used to create sections inside this box so that I can neatly arrange and organize the workbooks for each of these operations so as to enable my son independently work his way through these operations, okay? And we've got addition and subtraction and multiplication, which are respectively represented in the box. And as you can notice, the bit for division is left blank, and that is intentional. The reason for that is if you're going to set up a home learning space or a home learning studio, shameless plug-in, for your child according to the Montessori approach, please be aware to organize materials and resources that are appropriately within the range of simple, intermediate, and complex, okay? You don't want to have too many complex or challenging workouts that would frustrate your child and dissuade them from further exploration. On the other hand, you also do not want too many simple and easy work for them to do, because they're going to get bored, and again it's going to dissuade further exploration. So you want to have a nice array of activities and resources that cover between simple materials or activities that they have really mastered, the ones that they are practicing, and the ones that are appropriately challenging for them. So in our case, addition and subtraction fall within the purview of simple and intermediate, because he has a very good grasp of those concepts and he actually plays around with the worksheets, okay? So he's been working through the addition tables and charts as well as the subtraction tables and charts. Now, multiplication is where the challenging or complex work fall for my son, not necessarily because he doesn't understand the concept of multiplication, but because he's still working his way through the multiplication tables. He does know his multiplication table of tables of 2, 3, and 4, but we're still and actually 5 was the first one he actually mastered, but we're still working through the other tables, okay? So that's why that I've just left that out as the complex work for him to provide adequate challenge for him. And as soon as I am confident that he has a good grasp of that, I've already prepared the multiplication board down here to introduce, and as well as the workbooks to bring over there, okay? Also, just to quickly explain why the tables and the charts, okay? And you always start with the tables before you move to the charts, and this is why. The tables are very helpful because they enable the child to see the relationships and patterns between numbers, okay? And this in turn to help them to abstract these relationships and make sense of them. So it is in the tables that your child begin to see that the difference between 1 plus 1 and 1 plus 2 is actually 1. They start seeing the patterns of the relationships there. Now after the table, and the tables work the same for all of them. Now after the tables, they move on to chart, and chart is a fun arena because it actually takes the child a step further into the abstract, because it is in working through the charts that memorization is actually activated. So they always start with the tables and then they progress into the charts. Most of the operations that are going to be done with these tables and charts are usually with single digit numbers as well as the teens, okay? The reason why I highlighted that is because when they come down here, which is the next shelf you see, that is the golden bead bank. Yes, you can call it the golden bead material, golden bead bank. That is the deconomial bead box, and that is the stamp game. This is where the child goes further, is still working with the maths operation, but they're taking it further beyond single digits and the teens, because they start working in higher hierarchies of numbers, which are the tens, the hundreds, and the thousands. Now in Montessori, we typically introduce place values with this material, which is called the golden bead material, which my son has already mastered a while ago. And now what we're doing is group operations with the golden beads, which basically we're doing the math operations with the golden beads. And that is actually for the simple aspect of working in higher hierarchies for my son, because he's quite conversant in doing addition and subtraction, either with carryover or with no carryover with that. Another reason why I've left this out is because with the golden bead, right, to do group operations with the golden bead, the child doesn't need to record their answers like they do. With this chart here, they have the workbooks there that my son has to record his answers. But with the golden beads, he doesn't need to record his answers. So he's actually free to explore and manipulate the material and have fun with it, okay? The reason why you can see that storage thingy there is because I am currently making some sort of like task cards, because so far the way we've been working with this material is I call out numbers and he does the operation. So excuse me, I might say something like, okay, 1784 plus 900 and 12, okay? And it just goes on and does the work. But as a way to encourage its independence, I am making those task cards for both the addition with exchange and without exchange, and then subtraction without exchange first and with exchange, sorry. So the sequence is always without exchange and then with exchange. And I'll leave those cards there so that he can select whichever operation he wants to do and get on with his work, okay? Now for the deconomial bead box, that box is actually used with this ones here. We typically use that to introduce these operations. But I've also got like a variety to sustain interest. I will talk about that one in a short while. And then the stamp game is a step up from this one, okay? So it's almost like the next level from here. And as you can see, it's quite smaller and less bulky than this one. And with the stamp game, that is where the child is actually recording. Remember I said here there is no recording, but with the stamp game there is recording. And those are the workbook for the stamp game. If you've noticed so far, they're actually color coded. So for Montessori, addition is red, subtraction is green, multiplication is gold, and then division is purple. So by looking at those sheets, I'm sure you can tell which operations my son is working through. Now, further back there, you see those lined notebooks there. I've got lined notebooks there, and I've also got like a graph paper kind of notebook. And that is just for my son to continue to practice his operations. With these cards I got from Amazon, this is for addition and subtraction. And he can choose to write it either in this type of lined notebook or this kind of like graph paper. Under here, we've got our skip counting strips as well as the workbook. And just to say, you can get all of this workbook from my Etsy shop, Home Learning Studio, as well as from my website, www.homelearningstudio.com. And I do highly recommend it because I have taken the time, but most importantly, the love to create Montessori materials to accompany a lot of Montessori lessons and activities. So please check it out because I'm sure you will find something for your child and for their learning as well. Okay, back to the strip, the counting strips. So these are counting strips to accompany a lesson on skip counting, which I used as a precursor to introduce my son to multiplication. And accompanying that material are the bead chains here, which I absolutely love. Now, the bead chains are a very wonderful material in Montessori because they are a concrete way to help the child internalize the concept of skip counting, multiplication, and as well as the square and cubes of numbers. Okay, so and to accompany that as well, I've got our 100 board, which my son has been using to work through skip counting as well. Okay, as well, and those are the chips there, which we both decided to organize in groups of 20s, so we have 5 sets there. Okay, at this point I want to talk about repetition. A lot of people misconstrue repetition to mean doing the same activity over and over again until the child gets it right, and that is not repetition from the approach, from the Montessori approach, because that is actually the definition of monotony, which is equivalent to boring. Okay, repetition according to the Montessori method is teaching a particular concept through various means and activities in order to sustain interest so that the child can achieve mastery. I just came up with that, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me. Repetition is actually looking for diverse ways to consolidate the understanding of a particular concept, and the reason why you're doing it through diverse means is to sustain or maintain your child's interest, because when there is no interest, there is less likelihood to explore. But when there is interest, intrigue, yeah, because I think they're all variants of the same word, intrigue and interest, okay, it actually prompts the child to want to explore. So when you want to, help to sustain your child's interest in learning anything, try and utilize variety, because variety, I know this might sound cliche, but it is truly the spice of life. The reason why I went on that tangent is to say that if you notice there are a variety of activities there, even that one I got from Amazon, even those worksheets there, and all of this is to sustain my son's interest so that he doesn't get bored and so that he can continue to come back to the shelf and engage with the materials and consolidate his learning and understanding of this concept. Now let's get on to this shelf. At the top here, we've got our trinomial cube and the color box 3. And the reason why I've left those 2 specific sensorial materials, because they are from the sensorial curriculum of Montessori, is because my son loves puzzles and he likes to come back to that, so I've left that out. The color box 3 is actually a material that is like, the way I would describe it is that gift that keeps on giving, because although it is a sensorial material, we have used it in activities in geography, we have used that in activities in mathematics, we've used that in activities in even biology. So it is one very versatile material, and of course it is just a fun material to use because my son obviously likes to grade the color, take it out once in a while and just have a go grading the colors. So that's why we've got it. Right next to that, we've got the Montessori geometric oh my goodness, Montessori geometric stick. Pardon me. And guys, let me just make a confession. Do you see this material here? I have played the life out of, as in the life out of this material. Yes, I absolutely love it. I cannot tell you how many times I've come up here at night, when I'm trying to write the environment in preparation for the next day's work cycle, and I just take this material out and I just fumble around and just, faff around with it. The reason is because it's such an interesting material and my son to always have fun with it. This material is called the geometric stick, and it is a perfect material to help your child have a lovely relationship with geometry. I promise you, if you want your child to love geometry, go for this material. The reason is because this material helps your child to understand what points are, and how points make lines, and how lines make plane figures, and how plane figures make solid figures. Okay, with this material they're going to be playing around with spatial understanding, because they can see how changing the length and angle of a particular shape can affect it, and this actually would help to deepen their understanding of triangles and other polygons, as well as learn about the concept of area and perimeter. Yes, you guys, this material is also actually alpha when it comes to understanding and loving geometry. That is why I have spent the last 5 minutes, I think, going on and on about it, but we move. Right next to it, this material here is the cards on types of lines. You can find this from my Etsy shop as well as my website, and this one you can download for free from my website. I made this material to accompany the types of lines, this one, as well as my son's exploration with the geometric cabinet, all of that to just consolidate his knowledge of the names of geometric shapes, and as well play around with how you can combine different geometric shapes to form the other shapes, or even break down one shape to realize or achieve other shapes. Okay, so these cards are up for download for free, and you can get them from my website. Okay, and then under here on the second shelf here, I've talked about those ones. These cards are on money. We're currently, for this term, we're exploring the British Isles, the United Kingdom, and Great Britain. And of course, you cannot talk about Great Britain without talking about our almighty currency, the pound. So I made those cards to help my son, start familiarizing and learning about the British currency. And one thing he likes to do is to grade the currency in the ascending order. So he would typically take this and organize the monies from 1 penny, 2 pence, all the way to 50 pounds. And he's really good at doing that. Now, next to that, we've got this workbook on money, which supports all of our exploration with the maths operation, because as you can see, this is basically addition and subtraction of money. Okay, and to make it more interesting, I've actually added real money, which my son likes to use a lot when he's doing all of these calculations. And that activity there is the Geo board, which you can find on my Amazon storefront. And those cards you can get from my Etsy shop or my website. And again, that work is supporting all of our work in geometry. So you guys can see how I'm still bringing in variety to support my son and to sustain his interest. And then finally on this shelf at the bottom, we've got all our work on fraction. We've got our fraction cutouts over there. We've got our linear fraction strips. And then we've got the fraction cards. The dominoes, we've been using that to work through numerators and denominators. And we've also got some magnetic fraction cutouts, yes, which we've been using to explore relationships between fractions, like equivalence fractions, addition and subtraction of fractions. Okay, and this shelf here is what I call our geometry shelf, because this holds our geometric cabinets. And my son, I'm satisfied and confident that he has learned the names of these, all of the shapes, except for the triangles. We're still working through identifying the triangles correctly, which is where this material comes in handy. And I don't know if I mentioned, but this is the board that we use with the geometric stick. Is a huge cork board where my son has been making the different triangles. And then we've got our geometric solids, and right underneath there we've got our constructive triangles, which is another good Montessori material, guys, because this is not just for learning how to put 2 and 2 triangles and make different triangles. We're currently working through congruent, similar and equivalent figures, and I cannot wait to show my son how to make congruent, similar and equivalent figures by combining all of the constructive triangles. And these cards are cards to accompany the geometric cabinet. This one is geometric shapes in real life cards I made. Again, you can find it from my Etsy shop as well as my website. And then of course that is a control card, yes, for the geometric shapes, geometric solids rather. So guys, that is it for our maths section. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've found it entertaining as well as informative. If you have any questions from this video, please leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to read your comments. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Let me not carry on yapping unnecessarily. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye for now.